Hello, y'all. Welcome back to the B Channel podcast, where my objective is to bless, edify, and encourage others to live their best lives. Before we get into today's podcast, let me remind y'all that you can listen to this podcast on Amazon, Anchor, Apple, Google, or Spotify, and you can find the information for my other social media accounts in the description of the actual podcast. Feel free to give me a follow or share with someone you think that will benefit from this episode. Now, without further ado, here we go. One of my favorite pastimes is reading. I have always been an avid reader ever since I was a little girl. I love novels like Nancy Drew to this day. But since I have gotten older, I've been reading way more self-help books. And it's nothing like learning from somebody who's been where you want to go or has been somewhere you want to avoid being, if at all possible. So let's get into 5 books I've enjoyed reading recently in no particular order. Here is a quote from one of my favorite books, Soul Detox. Weed the garden of your mind on a regular basis so it doesn't get overtaken by weeds. Craig Rochelle, Soul Detox. As a believer in God, this book was enlightening, convicting, and jam-packed with principles that show you how to conduct yourself in a way that pleases God. The next book on the list is Cure for the Common Life by Max Lucado. And here's one of my favorite quotes from this book. God made one version of you and custom designed you for a one-of-a-kind assignment. This book really cemented into my brain the truth that we all have a purpose that only we can accomplish. There are things we can do that no other person can do the way that we do them. It is a great read if you're struggling with self-esteem and looking for direction as far as your purpose. And the next book is Divine Disruption. And this was a group effort by Tony Evans, Anthony Evans Jr., Jonathan Evans, Crystal Evans Hurst, and Priscilla Shire. They are a family of Christ followers and Christ representatives. They speak and they write about God. And one quote that I love from this book was, "There is no better summary of a successful life than to serve the purposes of God for the benefit of a generation." Jonathan Evans said that. And he wrote that about his mother, Lois Evans. And it was just a really good book. And when I say that this book was right on time, I needed every word that they wrote. It was a family project about all the trials and tribulations that they had gone through in a very short period of time and how they were still standing anyhow. It was on the God. Their testimony is powerful and impactful, and I can certainly relate. I know many of you will feel the same. And next up on this list, y'all, is Michael Todd with Relationship Goals. The quote I would like to share is this: "You can't have the best kind of relationships or win at relationships without God." Now, this book right here is a must-read for everybody, whether you are single, dating, engaged, married, or divorced. I say that because the insight that he shared about relationships and God being the foundation is paramount to success. These principles will help you in all kinds of relationships, not just romantic ones. It will help you love God better, love yourself better, and as a result, love those around you better. Who doesn't need more love? And last but not least, this one was another one right up there with the Jenny Allen book that I told you about in the last podcast. It was called Nothing to Prove. And this one is called Unqualified by Stephen Furtick. And the quote I would like to share from this is, "God can't bless someone I'm not. He longs to bless me, the real me, with all my ups and downs and pros and cons." And at the time, I was like still reading this, and I just couldn't leave it off the list. It has so many beautiful revelations about how our relationship with God should be. It turns this whole concept of being unqualified on its head. It has funny moments, realism, and helpful scriptures. It is so good to know more about the God we serve. He is not expecting perfection but progress. I highly recommend all of these books if you want to grow in your relationship with God. They have all enlightened me and helped me to grow. And if you would like me to do more book reviews, just let me know. I show on this podcast some love. And to recap what those books were, the first one was Craig Rochelle. He has a book called Soul Detox. And the next one is Max Lucado, Cure for the Common Life. And the next one is Divine Disruption, which is by Tony Evans, Anthony Evans Jr., Jonathan Evans, Crystal Evans Hurst, and Priscilla Shire. Relationship Goals by Michael Todd. And the last one is Unqualified by Stephen Furtick. So you can find those books wherever books are sold. Check them out. They'll bless your life. I promise. Thank you for listening and tuning into this short podcast, this review on these books that I've loved and enjoyed. And yeah, I really will be sharing some more of these with y'all because I don't want to keep all this goodness to myself. I have to share it with the world. And that's really the whole point of this relationship with God. We're not supposed to keep our nuggets of wisdom to ourselves, the things that we learn. We're supposed to share it. So I hope that this blessed you, and I will see you again soon on the next podcast. Toodles. Have a blessed day.